The Pittsburgh Steelers 2021 schedule breakdown is here. I am your host, Dalton Miller, joined as always by my co-host, Ian Cummings, and we're going to get right into it. The toughest game on their schedule is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs. Las Vegas doesn't get this one wrong. They say that the Chiefs are the most difficult game, and of course they are. But I'm kind of tired of talking about the Chiefs and the AFC North. So we're going to get a little bit outside the box here and talk about what team outside of the Chiefs do you think is the most difficult game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ian?
Man, I was hoping for a gimme. Hoping we could just move on, but that's fine. That's fine. There are a lot of games on the Steelers' schedule to talk about. You know, we think about the Chiefs. Obviously, they're going to be in the conversation, but you look at the Steelers' schedule, they're not the only team. I think that you can talk about intra-divisional matchups, which we have been with the AFC North. The Ravens, the Browns, obviously two teams that will be in the playoff conversation. In the Browns' case, maybe even the AFC Championship conversation if they can reach their maximum potential. But we've been talking about that a lot too. So I'm going to bring up a couple teams outside of the division that could give the Steelers some trouble. I think obviously you have to look at week one at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Bills are a very good team. Josh Allen was a very good player last year, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Proved a lot of us draft analysts wrong. And I'm happy to say it because he's a very, very talented quarterback, and the league is better when he's better. So that Buffalo Bills offense, they got Brian Daboll coming back, thought he might be a head coach somewhere else, but they have him in-house still. So they're going to be dangerous. And I think that the Steelers defense, not quite as strong on that back end as we're accustomed to seeing them being. Linebacker, they do have Devin Bush coming back. They have TJ Watt, so they have Cameron Hayward, so they have some good pieces. But are they good enough as a cohesive unit to stop Josh Allen? I'm not so sure. I would also look at the Packers week 4 with an asterisk. Is Aaron Rodgers the quarterback? We don't know. If he is the quarterback, though, that secondary is not good enough to stop him in his current form. It's just that simple. He was the MVP last year. He was the best quarterback in the league. He was on a mission, and I think he still is because he didn't leave with a ring. So if he does come back, if him and the Packers mend some bridges there, I do think that could be a very big challenge for the Steelers as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges for the Steelers ahead of them in 2021. They have the second-ranked strength of schedule after having quite the easy schedule to start the season in 2020. 2021 does not look as kind. I'm with you. I think that the Buffalo Bills game in week 1 is that one game that I think outside of the Chiefs game and maybe the two Browns games, those intra-divisional games that we talk about, you know, the AFC North being the most difficult division to play in the NFL. And I think it's the Buffalo Bills in week 1. I think that the Bills have one shutdown corner in Tre'Davious White. They have two very good safeties. And guys, man, Ben's coming back, and you're really going to ask him. Ben is old. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Ben is old. Ben cannot move around the same way that he used to. His elbow cannot hold up the way that it used to. This offense is going to want him to arm punt it pretty much 50 times a game. The offensive line has really taken a hit as well. I mean, that makes these games even more difficult. You're putting a lot of stress on a quarterback that obviously going to be a Hall of Famer, has won 2 Super Bowls with the team, has gotten to be one of the best passers in the NFL as a veteran in the NFL, but he's kind of getting over the hill there. They need to start looking towards the future here soon. I don't think they have it in-house right now. What is one game that with him, with that arm, with, you know, is Juju a number 1? What can he really be? They have Deontay Johnson as well to have a little fun on the outside. What is that one game that you sit down and you're like, man, I have to watch this game?
Yeah, there are a few, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. The biggest storyline, I mean, the Steelers have been one of those teams. When you think of playoff contenders, you just think of the Steelers, man. For years on end, that's been the case. And we honestly, with Mike Tomlin, it could still be, even with the roster.
Quite honestly, that they're the most spoiled fans in professional football. I think even more than the New England Patriots, because this is a team that has only had 3 head coaches in their history. Most franchises have more in the past decade. They've been doing it for 60 years.
Yeah,
it's and listen, if they have a down year this year, that's 1 out of 30. I mean, let's be real here. They've been a great franchise. Eventually, all good things must come to an end. But yes, let's get back on topic here.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they've been at the pinnacle of the sport for such a long time. I mean, even dating back to Chuck Noll. I mean, you breathe that crisp autumn air in Pennsylvania. You just think back to those 1970s, Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann. I mean, those 4 championships. The Steelers have been the class of the league for a long time, but at some point it has to end. I think looking at how Ben Roethlisberger deteriorated so quickly last year, you have to think about, is this the year that it happens? And it very well could be. Looking at a game to watch in that context, the context of the Steelers trying to cling to this contention window when they might be slipping out. I look at the Chargers week 11. Justin Herbert is kind of the antithesis of Ben Roethlisberger at this point. Roethlisberger's old, Herbert's young. Roethlisberger can't move. Herbert is a very good athlete. And then Roethlisberger's arm and with his knees, he can't really get a lot of velocity on it. Herbert, meanwhile, has an absolute rocket. So I think that looking at that dichotomy there, if the Chargers end up beating the Steelers, that could be a telltale sign. You know, the changing of the guard is here, and the Steelers are moving down the ladder, and they really need to focus on getting their next quarterback, because without the quarterback, you don't have the winning. You can't win without a quarterback. It's just that simple in today's NFL. And Roethlisberger has been your guy for a long time, but I don't think he is anymore. And I think that game could really shine a spotlight on that realization.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Denver Broncos are going to be the game to watch. I want to see what this passing attack for the Pittsburgh Steelers can be. And man, the Denver Broncos, we can talk about Drew Lock all we want. That might be for a different day, but their secondary is incredibly talented from top to bottom. Both safeties, their top 3 corners, all are immense talents as well, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch that matchup. Now, for me, the most pivotal game of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be at the Browns coming out of the bye. I think that at some point you're going to need to at least, go 3-3 in the division to really have a shot at the playoffs. I think if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that they need to steal one of those games from either the Cleveland Browns or the Baltimore Ravens. They can't get swept by both. And so I think that coming off of the bye, you have to have a good game plan to stop that Cleveland Browns offense. And I think that that's the most pivotal game of their season.
Yeah, I think you look at either of those Browns games, just ultimately it depends on where the Steelers are at in that point, in those points of the season. Like if they're still in contention by week 17, which I think you and I both think it's kind of a long shot looking at the roster, like honestly, maybe. I mean, with Mike Tomlin, it's never out of the question. He is a fantastic coach, and they do have enough talent to stay in it, but like they're not over the top in terms of talent, and they have too many holes where you can't definitively say this is a team that's going to obviously kind of be in the driver's seat. They don't have enough, but if they're still in contention by week 17, maybe they're trying to keep one of those wild card spots, trying to beat the Browns, maybe knocking the Browns out of a 1 seed. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's a lot on the line at that point. And then also earlier in the season, like you said, coming off the bye at Cleveland, but you have the rest, you have the week of rest. If you can take care of business and maybe split with Cleveland, it could go a long way. So I look at that too. I would also look at the Titans week 15. I think that the Titans are both of these teams kind of similar brands, physical, really old school. And I think that, this will be a really gritty game, but then the Titans have that added element with Julio Jones now and AJ Brown. I think they can put a lot of pressure on that Steelers secondary, because the Steelers secondary, quite frankly, aside from Minkah Fitzpatrick and Terrell Edmonds, who they declined his 5th-year option, so they're obviously not as high. I thought he played well enough to earn it, but they didn't apparently think that. And then their corner room is kind of a little barren outside of Joe Hayden, who himself is starting to get over the hill. So I think that the Titans could really put pressure on him, and that's another one where both of these teams might be in the AFC playoff wildcard conversation, and it's all about trying to get the other team out of the conversation. So that'll be a big one as well.
Listen, Steelers fans, I know that you're passionate. I know that you are going to have things to say in the comment. I say that with no condescension whatsoever. Please let us know in the comments what you agree, what you disagree with as Steelers fans. Let us know what you think the most difficult game in their schedule is, what the most pivotal game in the schedule is, and your Steelers fans, your AFC North fans, so you're going to be sitting down watching every game. But which game are you going to have the biggest party for to come, this 2021 season? Once again, let us know in the comments.